What is up, everybody? We have an amazing episode today. This is dropping on Thursday, not Friday. This is a draft episode. Myself, Mason. I got Tinsley here with me. We are big nerds and junkies when it comes to the draft world. So we did a little bit last week, and now we are doing a draft. We're going to be talking a lot of bets here. We'll be talking a lot of rumors. We'll be making some more predictions. How's it going, Tinsley? How excited are you? It is Thursday. We are pumped.
I am ecstatic. Now that you're listening to this, it is Thursday morning. I'm not paying attention to anything going on at work. Oh, wait, I have my daughter's field trip that I'm chaperoning at the zoo, so I'll be chilling all day. But no, this is a fun time of year. If you are a sports junkie and are here to hear about hockey or basketball, we'll have those things on another episode. I know the NHL and NBA playoffs are going on. They've been exciting. First round, lots of stuff going on. But the heart and soul of this podcast is NFL, I think, and at least for the Friday sports episodes. And the NFL draft, I think me and Mason have poured more time and resources into that over the years than anything else. So we're very excited for this episode. We've got some bets. We've got some rumors. Another thing randomly that's been going on this week in the NFL is jersey drops. I just wanted to add this in real quick.
Yeah,
everyone's dropping their jerseys. The Broncos, way to botch it. It's terrible.
Just like their quarterback situation now.
Just like their quarterback situation. Shout out Zach Wilson. The Jets just made the same jersey and just called it new. So I guess congrats. And then the Houston Texans, you guys, this is out. This is a shout out to the one guy in my DMs that's been trolling me since the season started. I know you hate listening to this podcast because you DM me random stuff all the time. I have a literal online hater, so shout out me. I must be famous. But this guy, he has a troll account. He DMs me all the time about the Texans, so I know you're listening. Congrats on the XFL rebrand of your guys' jerseys because they're terrible.
Wow.
They're the worst jerseys in the league. Worst jerseys in the league.
XFL shout out right there. So that means I got to look them up and see how bad they are, I guess, because I've not even seen it yet.
Oh, they're bad. So I just wanted to shout all that stuff out before we dove into the draft. I've been saving that for a couple days.
And that's free too. That wasn't even free. Like draft bonus. That's uniform bonus right there. So okay, so I'm gonna kick us off here because we got a lot that we're gonna go over. The number one pick is a lock. Caleb Williams at minus 20,000. So if you bet $1,000 on him to go first overall, you will profit $5. So, I mean, you could do that if you want to bet $1,000 and get $5 bonus.
$5 back, yeah.
Now, this is where things are crazy. And Zach made a great point last week. He talked about, it's wild to me that you can bet on all this draft stuff, knowing like the inside, there's all these like insiders that already know who they're going to pick or who they're after. There's rumors out there. I follow 5 billion accounts, and I'm like, which one do I actually like believe? There's like NFL rumors account. There's like just all these accounts, and it kind of gets to where it's like, who do you believe and not believe? What are your team's needs, and do they stick with that? So the number 2 pick is still a mystery. Tens. We have the Washington Commanders right now. And this is according to DraftKings. Jaden Daniels is minus 400 to go at the number 2 pick. Drake May is minus 300 to go. Number 3 pick. Do you believe these lines? And how far do we go here? How do we feel? We talked about it off the pod a minute ago. I want you to kind of repeat some of that as well because it was a really good point you were making.
I think this draft really does. Most drafts, even up to the week of, you kind of even know, like maybe the top 3 picks, it's kind of already been leaked. You kind of already know what's going on. This draft, the Washington Commanders have really kept their cards close to the vest. I don't know what they're going to do. Those lines have moved so much. I mean, just a week ago, J.J. McCarthy kind of, the smoke screen got thrown out there, and he went from plus 2,800 to wherever he's at now. I mean, it's like, what, plus 1,100 now?
So for the second pick, it's plus 1,100. Yeah. For the third pick, this is crazy to me. It's plus 400.
Yeah, see, that's where I think the draft really does start with the dominoes. I think they can go two ways. Is what the with whatever Washington does. If Washington takes Jaden Daniels, I think the Patriots are pretty dead set on Jaden Daniels. I think that's the guy they want, and I think if they don't get him, they say, okay, we have holes everywhere else. We can trade out of this pick and get a lot more assets because we're not super ready for a guy like Drake May, like I was talking about before we got on the pod. He's like a guy they're talking about maybe needs to sit for a year, kind of needs to get coached up a little bit. He's very young. I don't
You
super
like
agree
him,
with
by
all
the
that.
way.
I
Yeah,
love
you
Drake
like
May.
him
I love
as a
Drake May.
quarterback.
I liked him his first year at North Carolina. I mean, I even said it. It was after Trevor's rookie year. I was like, if I didn't have Trevor Lawrence on my team, like I would be rooting for my team to suck the next 2 years so I could be in a position to draft Drake May. I do think he's very good. Put in the right situation, I think he could be great. That's where I think the Patriots say, okay, Jaden Daniels is a little bit more day one starter ready to win football games. I think you can maybe say the same thing about J.J. McCarthy is what people are saying. Not me. I'm not that guy. But
Not the guy.
I'm not
Plus,
the guy who's going to say
the
that.
over under is pick 5.5. By the way, I put this on a post on my Twitter, so definitely check me and Tinsley out on there. We're putting draft stuff through all day today. If you're listening to this today, but I already put this out. That basically over under 5.5. I don't know. I am comparing it to Will Levis. Of there's so much hype around him, and he was not as high on everybody's draft boards as he was in the media. And I feel the same way. The Harbaugh effect is real. He literally started this whole thing, and I feel like there's just so much hype around him. But go ahead. I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, you're
Take
good.
it. Take it away.
That was good timing. Morgan and Macy just got home from dance recital, so the dogs were going crazy. So perfect timing. But like I was saying, so I think that's where the Patriots are. I think they're going to trade out of this spot if Jaden Daniels isn't there. That's where the Vikings move up and get Drake May, which then kind of sets you up for. I mean, like there's some value in taking that exacta of Williams, Daniels, May, or you could take the four-leg exacta that's on DraftKings as well and take Williams, Jaden. Maybe the Patriots just say, no, we're going to take Drake May regardless. I do think he should be the third quarterback taken. And then the Vikings still trade up to 4 to get J.J. McCarthy. So I think there's some value in either one of those scenarios.
So the exacto that you were talking about, Williams, Daniels, May, Harrison is minus 145 right now.
Yeah.
Is that worth the fact that there's so much chaos? And I brought it up earlier. We thought that the 49ers years ago were going to go with Mac Jones. They went with Trey Lance. It was just a total, like, no one saw that coming.
Yeah.
The one, if you want to go plus money hunting, nice little segment name there. Caleb Williams, Daniels, May, JJ McCarthy. If you wanted to throw in like that, the Cardinals do trade out. And then what you're kind of talking about, Williams, May, Daniels, Harrison at plus 425. So that's another one that's a possibility.
Yeah. I like those. I think
if May actually went to,
I don't think Drake May is going to the Patriots is my one and only thing. I just don't think he is the quarterback for them. I don't think he fits what they want.
So if May went to the Commander, so you would actually like the Williams, May to the Commanders, Daniels to the Patriots, Harrison to the Cardinals at plus 425.
Yeah.
I don't think there's any value in taking how chaotic it is. The minus 145 for Williams, Daniels, May, Harrison, and you don't even like May to the Patriots. So if you had to pick one, and we're not saying to take this, there is also a top 3 exacto. If you are worried about the Cardinals trading out, you can do Williams, May, then Daniels at plus 360 instead of having the Harrison pick in there at plus 420. Not a bad thought.
I would definitely mess around with those exactas because I don't think you're going to be able to. And I've got a couple long shot things later on, but I don't think you're going to be able to find value in saying Commanders take X player at 2 by itself. I think you're going to have to try and test this exacta market out Which, like you said, there is that possibility of chaos because I do see. I don't think. I mean, the Bears are not trading. That's 100%. They're locked up. The Commanders aren't trading either. I just the Patriots are such a wild card. The Cardinals could be a team like the Vikings are going to, in my opinion, get either the third, fourth, or fifth pick. It just depends on what quarterback's there. And then you also have the Giants lurking in the weeds, also as a quarterback team all of a sudden this week. And then you still have the Broncos, who I think are going to have a hard time trading up into that top five with limited resources. And then the Raiders are rumored like crazy that they love Jane Daniels, and Jane Daniels wants to go play for the Raiders because he has ties to Antonio Pierce from his time at Arizona State before he transferred to LSU. So,
Hmm.
a lot
It
going
seems
on.
like, yeah. And last week I brought up Raiders to pick a quarterback at plus 230. So that is still one of my and that's big plus money. That's still one of my bets that I really like. And you just talked about Jaden Daniels. We've talked about Michael Penix Jr. there. I want to kick off a real quick question for you. What is your biggest regret? There's been so many lines moving. I want to start this one off. What made me think of this is Michael Penix Jr. To go in the first round was at minus 115 last week when I talked about him going to the Raiders.
Yeah.
Yes. And now he's literally, I think it's like minus 280. That's my biggest regret is that I didn't make that official and I didn't place that. I'll have to double check it. But what is right now your biggest regret so far when it comes to drafting or placing a bet about draft or anything that has to do with the draft?
Yeah. I mean, there's a couple come to mind. And this was a long shot, but Patrick Paul, offensive lineman from Houston,
Mm-hmm.
to be a first round draft pick. I did take this, but I took it for like a quarter of a unit 2 weeks ago. It was at plus 1,500. He's gotten a lot of hype. This tackle class is really being talked up to like guys that would probably go in second rounds normally are going to get drafted earlier. He's moved all the way down to plus 400. So I kind of wish I would have put maybe a full unit on that. But that is what it is. And then another one, which I guess this isn't really a regret because I did smash it, but the Jags to take a receiver in the first round was at plus 300 before the Calvin Ridley news, and then now it's like plus 140 depending on when you look at it. So those were two bets I maybe wish I would have taken when the money was a little bit bigger.
Unless
But
this
other
moves uh, position of first drafted player in the NFL draft. So it's first drafted. You may have found something
yes,
in the
yeah,
first round. Okay, wide receiver at plus 210 on DraftKings.
for the Jags right
So
now.
yeah,
Okay, it's been moving,
so
and I know
not
this
plus
isn't a
400, but
no because I got
still a
it
good
at
plus.
plus 400 because I took an emotional smash at it when Calvin really left. And this isn't a Jaguar podcast, but there's just a lot of the Jags are a very hard team, and I'll kind of talk about it when we get into some long shots and some surprise things for me. Um, they're a team that could trade up. They're a team that could trade down. They're a team that could stick and pick. I truly don't. There's not a good read on it because we have a hand in one pot where we're rumored to be in this Brandon Ayuk situation, and he could very well like change a whole team's draft plans because you trade for Brandon Ayuk and you're set up at receiver, and there's multiple teams that are trying to trade for him right now,
Yeah.
which could affect some of these bets we're talking about. And then, no, what's up? Good.
So I was just gonna say, speaking of the wide receiver situation with the Jags, you really like a Dunze. And
Yes.
so do you know what the odds are for the second one? I think Marvin Harrison, and still there's like things thrown around about if people trade out. I think that a team would rather risk if they passed up on Marvin Harrison and he actually became like, his dad was like with Peyton Manning, Hall of Famer, and you passed upon him to pick somebody else, you would look worse than if you went for him and he didn't pan out, in my opinion. So
Yeah.
Marvin Harrison, first wide receiver, drafted minus 900. Second wide receiver, do you know the odds?
Um, is like what plus 400 for Neighbors.
So for the second wide receiver to go, Malik Neighbors is favored minus 330.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
So he's
I
like, no,
yes,
you're fine. I may have not worded that the best, but to go second wide receiver drafted minus
so
330, Rome A Dunze plus 300.
300.
I like that value
Yeah, I
because
do
there's
too.
so many, there's so much talk about teams actually preferring him. And I don't think it's going to be a huge difference. Like I could see Rome Dunze going the second wide receiver and then literally Malik Neighbors like going the pick right after, like,
I
or
think
two
it
picks
just
later. I
yeah.
think that they're literally that close. Like I don't see it being like a 5-6 pick difference. I see
I
it
think all
literally
three
being,
of them. I think all three of those
yeah,
guys. I think it just depends on what you want out of your receivers. Like Marvin Harrison is more of a possession guy. He's going to go get you the ball. He can go down. I mean, he can make all the big plays, but he's not a run after catch kind of guy. Um, Malik Neighbors is that. Malik Neighbors is one of these guys. He's kind of like a Brandon Ayuk or Debo Samuel. Those two names just kind of came to my head because they play that style where they could take a 5 yard slant pass 90 yards for a touchdown at any
yeah,
second. And Malik Neighbors is that guy. And Rome Odunze is more of a mixture of those two together. Um, and I think that's why I like him the most. And he's big, he's physical. So if you need like a true number one outside wide receiver, I could see where maybe a team like the Giants or the Bears, if we're talking second receiver off the board, uh, maybe prefer him over Malik Neighbors because Malik Neighbors' game is a little bit more dependent on uh, scheming him open and doing like bubble screens and things like that. Not to say he can't just go downfield and catch the ball because Malik Neighbors can do that. Malik Neighbors is going to be a great wide receiver. I think all three of these guys are going to be awesome for a long time. Shout out, we're going to have Josh on a week after the draft to talk more like dynasty and fantasy stuff. And I know he's going to talk about those three guys because they're going to be very important if you're in a
yeah,
dynasty league.
for sure. Yeah, that's gonna be exciting having him on, and he's been in so many like different drafts. He knows how it works. I didn't know how Dynasty kind of worked at first, and so I was like trading like no names for like draft picks, and they are actually very, very valuable in like Dynasty leagues as well. But real quick, I will say you had a Dunze going over Malik Neighbors in the mock draft,
Yes.
did you not? See, so there you go. Here,
Uh,
I thought you did.
I think I did.
So
Yeah,
my
yeah, yeah. By one pick because I had the Jags trade up.
my thing is that thing everything's so sporadic in the draft that I'd rather go plus money, and if I hit one, so let's say all my bets are plus 300 and I pick 3 of them, and if only one hits, then I break even. And so with a
Right.
Dunze, the second wide receiver to go and then being so close, and I've heard a lot of teams actually prefer him. I'm gonna take I'm just gonna throw a dart at it because that's incredible value for a coin toss. Did you have anything else on that
No, not on those
there?
three guys. I think those three
Okay.
guys are. I think they're all three going to be in the top 10. It just kind of matters where they land, but there's nothing really I can find. I like the Adunze bet at plus 300 to be the second receiver taken, just because I think it just comes down to team fit. If a team just likes him a little bit more than Neighbors, then and you're holding a plus 300, that's worth it for
Yeah,
a unit.
for sure. All right. So where did you want to go next on this? Because I have a bet to save your life, but I feel like we try to make every bet as like as automatic as we want it to be, like something that
Yeah.
you love. So do you have
I,
something like that?
yeah, I've got one, and I mean, it's not good value, but I
Okay.
think that the Chiefs to draft a wide receiver is almost the lock of a century to me,
Mm,
even more so than the Bills. Um, well, I mean, it's minus 105, so that's not crazy.
yeah.
Um, I just don't see where they can go into next season, even with Rashee Rice not being in legal trouble. the receiver room is weak, and I know you can kind of make up for that with Patrick and all the things he can do, and they did sign Hollywood Brown, so maybe I'm undervaluing that signing quite a bit, honestly. It's really not made much of a difference to me, where I've still been pretty heavy on them to take a receiver. I just feel like they want to add one more guy to this offense to kind of take some pressure off of Travis Kelce, maybe help carry the load with Rashid Rice probably being suspended. I would say, from what I've seen, 4 to 6 games. Which we're not gonna. I don't care about all that stuff. Like, we're just talking
Yeah.
sports here. His off the field stuff is his own personal stuff. I'm not going to be throwing around allegations or anything like that of what happened or did not happen. So, um, I think minus 105 is great value. If I had, and then another one would be Chiefs, and this goes against what I just said, but Chiefs also take offensive linemen. I think they're going like, and obviously those are the two highest things. You might think corner, because they trade away Ladarius Sneed. The Chiefs find dudes in the 5th round and turn them into all pro corners. That's just what they do. Um, Offensive line is a huge question spot to me. They don't have a left tackle on the roster as of right now. Um, so that one's at plus 140. So you could take both of those. I feel like one of those is going to hit.
Yeah, no, that's a good bet for sure. I'm going to go with, for mine, Dallas Turner to be drafted in the top 10 at minus 105. I talked about this
Ooh.
last week. Well, hold on. I like this a lot because there's several teams that could go edge rusher. The Falcons is the biggest. They are minus 210, what I talked about last week, to draft an edge rusher. I've heard so much stuff about Dallas Turner out of Alabama. Let me see. I had one more team I felt like that needed one.
Maybe the Bears.
The Bears, and then also I feel like, so if the Titans don't have an offensive line that, let's say Joe Alt actually gets taken, I feel like they could actually take one here. It's a possibility.
Yeah, I think the Titans are the sneaky trade down team, to be honest.
Yeah.
I think
Uh,
I
I wouldn't
think
hate
that
it.
yeah, I think you guys have the best offensive line coach in the NFL.
Yeah.
I think he looks at there's 5 guys sitting there that could, the Penn State guy, the Oregon State, Washington, Joe Alt, JC Latham. I mean, that's 5.
Talise Fuegu out
Yeah,
of Oregon State. Yeah.
real sweet names. I'm not trying any of them. Um, I think he says, give me any of those guys and I can work with them and I can make them a good caliber starting left tackle and we could get some more assets. But maybe they say, you know what, Joe Alt is who we want and we'll take him at 7. And I think Titans fans will be happy either way. But I do continue to think that the Titans will be a trade down team. Um, that being said, I mean, I could see them take. That's the thing. I don't think you could justify taking a Dallas Turner or any of the other defensive linemen, edge rush guys as the Titans when your
Yeah.
left tackle is. I don't even like you guys. Andre Dillard was your starter last year, and he was bad, and they cut him, and they didn't. They spent money everywhere else. So like even people were mocking like Malik Neighbors to the Titans. I'm like, that's fun. Like, take my Jaguar fan hat off. That's a fun prospect as a Titans fan, but who's going to, like, the offensive line was an issue last year.
Yeah.
You upgraded at center, and that was really it. You got to get a left tackle.
I believe so as well. I was just thinking, especially if someone traded up. It's just Raheem Morris for the Falcons and it screams Dallas Turner to me. So I don't know. I like it. You semi kind of talked me out of it a little bit, but
I
I'm still sticking with it.
the thing I've seen a lot is that Byron Murphy is flying up boards because he is pretty much the only elite defensive tackle in this class. Raheem Morris comes from the Rams, where he just had Aaron Donald show what a defensive tackle who can disrupt the pocket can do, which is just that. Ask any quarterback. you know why Tom Brady lost those 2 Super Bowls to the Giants, because they were crashing the inside of the pocket. You can have
Yeah.
edge rushers who are great, and if a quarterback can step up into a clean pocket, he'll make a throw. If you got a beast down there at defensive tackle disrupting that, then that's when things get kind of
Yeah.
crazy. And so I think and I didn't take it anywhere, but I'd kind of like Byron Murphy to maybe sneak as the first defensive player taken now. I've seen it at like plus 280 as of this morning. That's not an official pick. That just might be an official sprinkle.
Official sprinkle. Everybody loves a good official sprinkle.
Yeah.
Um, did you have any others that, or let's just go through the line now. Let's look at some picks,
Okay.
some bets that you really like right now. Let's kind of go through them and we can talk about them.
Okay.
We'll
First
go back
bet.
and forth.
So this line's moved, and I think now I want to just say this isn't a bet for me anymore. Brian Thomas Jr. I took him under 17.5 because I just didn't. I think if the Jags stay at 17, I think that's who they would take. Apparently, he has a shoulder issue. He's a labrum, like a torn labrum. He played with all season, but he hasn't elected to have surgery yet. It's an 8-week recovery, so you're starting to dip into like the biggest thing that rookies always talk about after their first year is, man, I wasn't prepared for the grind of a 17 game season. They spend all this time after their college season's over preparing for the combine, the combine is not football. The combine and the workouts are exactly that. They're workouts. They're not practicing football things. So they're not in football shape. And a lot of these guys, you see them kind of deal with injuries or re-aggravate stuff, and they're not prepared for training camp, and they fall behind. I think that's starting to come out about Brian Thomas now. I think he's going to be a good player, but he might not be able to make an impact as much as people thought year one. So that's why at first I was taking him under. His draft prop was 17.5. It was plus money. It's now moved. I saw it earlier at 20.5. It's a no play for me anymore. I'm just going to stay away from it because I think now it leans more towards over, where he's going to kind of get pushed down the board a little bit. And then Kool-Aid McKinstry is one of my more favorite. Like, for the most part, after this, I'm going to be giving out a lot of more long shot stuff. I don't have a ton of these draft prop positions other than long shots. But Kool-Aid McKinstry under 28.5 plus 105. I just don't see where he's going to get past the Bills. I think if he's sitting there with the Bills, I know everyone's like, oh, they have to get a receiver now. They lost Diggs and Davis. It's a good wide receiver class. They could take someone in the second round. The Bills have needs at every position. I mean, they lost their two starting safeties, multiple offensive linemen, their starting corner in Trevion White. So, I mean, they could take anyone. And Kool-Aid McKinstry is a good pick, so I don't see him falling past there. But I think he goes before then anyway. A team like the Packers, he's linked to the Jags if they stick and pick. So I just don't see where he's going to fall past that. And you get plus money to get him under 28.
Yeah. It's pretty good. I'm going to take that one with you for sure. Quick question. Share with the group here. You sent a text to me about something that you called last week about who the Dolphins they're rumored to
Yes.
select.
So, and I've now taken this guy on 3 different teams. But Xavier Worthy, if you were with us last week for our mock draft episode, I went a little off the rails with the Rams and the Dolphins, having them take 2 different wide receivers, and I think I might have puzzled Mason a little bit because this is a team, especially the Dolphins. It's a team that needs a lot of stuff. They just went through a cap purge. They lost a lot on the defense and offensive lines. They're pretty set at receiver. They have one of the highest paid receivers in the league. And then Jalen Waddle is going to be one of the highest paid receivers in the league after this year when they have to give him a new contract. So why would they spend money here? Well, or put draft capital, because this team's all about speed and putting up points. And Xavier Worthy is that. I mean, he broke the 40-yard dash record. I took him before the mock draft episode at plus 650. have those odds updated at all since these rumors now that he's maybe on their radar? While Mason's checking that, this morning I also took
Oh,
him
yeah.
at the Cowboys. It's another team I've kind of been playing around with him landing at. That's at plus 2,200, and then the Chiefs. I think if he's sitting there, I think the Chiefs say, "Hey, this kid could be Tyreek Hill." Like maybe not. I'm not saying he is Tyreek Hill, but he could give them a dimension of that offense they've been missing since Tyreek Hill was there with the long passes, the out of this world speed, reverses, bubble screens, things like that. Xavier Worthy could offer them.
Yeah. Sorry. I was checking a comparison on two wide receivers because I found something that I wanted to talk about. What do you want me to check on?
I was just gonna see if if his line has moved with the Dolphins at all
I will
since
check that one
it
real
it
quick
kind of
though.
came out. Yeah,
I
no, you're
I
good. What's up?
found I found a fun head-to-head matchup. You were talking about Xavier Worthy. How do you feel like he compares and being drafted compared to? And I'm sorry, I'm going to butcher his first name. Adion Mitchell. Also,
It's no, you said it right. He just goes by AD Mitchell,
okay,
but
AD
Adion is
Mitchell
how you pronounce it.
for the Texas Longhorns. They both played for Texas last season. There is a head-to-head that you can bet on DraftKings who will be drafted first.
I think Mitchell probably goes first just because he is more your typical. He's 6'4". He can run all the routes. He's a jump ball guy.
I know it's more than stats, but he had 55 receptions, 845 yards, and he had 11 touchdowns. He had more than double.
Yeah,
Xavier Worthy had the record-breaking 40-yard time, 75 receptions, 1,014 yards. So he had quite a bit more yards, only 5 touchdowns. 6'1",
I
172.
yeah.
AD Mitchell 6'4", a little more height, 196.
I think that'll scare teams away a little bit on Worthy just because he's 160. It's pretty small. I haven't been 160 since like my freshman year of high school, so uh, that's a lot. It's be running around playing in the NFL. But I mean, I'll just be honest with you. I don't like either one of these guys. I'm not big on Big 12 receivers. There's a long history of them not panning out well in the NFL. AD Mitchell reminds me of Quentin Johnson last year from TCU. Just, I think that's who he is. It's got it
Yeah.
written all over it to me. Um, so knowing my luck, that's who the Jags take at 17. And then I have this sound clip on the internet that I have to try and say I never said. Anyway,
Now, did you back to the Dolphins real quick? Did you say that is there a draft out there where you could pick Xavier Worthy for the Dolphins? I found them at plus 600 to draft a wide receiver. That's all I
yes,
found for the position. Huh?
I found it on DraftKings. It's down in the player drafted by section on the draft part.
Okay.
Everywhere you had to scroll down to the bottom. He's plus 500. Um, I think if they're crazy enough to take a receiver, he's the one that would fit the mold just because he is what they already have. Um, but that's a long shot. I mean, no one come beat down my door when they take Ziggy Newton out of Illinois because that's who they should draft because they need a defensive tackle.
Yeah. A majority of these are long shots. So, we were talking about the Titans earlier, and we're just kind of jumping back and forth here. You said they really need an offensive line. Number 7 pick, which is where they're picking, Joe Alt minus 155. Interesting enough, the 7th pick, this isn't teams now. This is the pick. Roma Dunze at plus 650, Malik Neighbors at plus 700. That's what I'm going back to. The fact that either of those player plus 650 or plus 700, that's why I'm like, I would take Rome Dunze at plus 300 to be picked first. I mean, if we're literally going back and forth like that. But anyways, that's just a little side note there. Okay, let's go on. Let's move on to another pick. Did you have anything else? You got
Yeah, I
some long
was.
shots, you said. Yeah.
Well, I was just going to ask if there's a line, and maybe we've already talked about it, but if there's a line that like you thought was crazy, like it's very mispriced, because I have one.
Why don't you go ahead and go? I have some that are. I feel like it's just so juiced. It's not. It's just. It's literally like this isn't worth me even betting.
Yeah.
So you go ahead and go first.
Okay. So, and this is just probably because I'm plugged into the team. There's a lot going on, like I said earlier, but Jags to take a defensive lineman plus 1,000.
Yeah.
We're a team that could definitely take someone like Ziggy Newton from Illinois, where we're looking for that 3-tech defensive tackle. I also think that our defensive coordinator and GM would tell you that you'd never have enough pass rushers. We're in that prime spot of 17 where like a Jared Verse could fall, Latu could fall, where we could nab one of those guys and just say, hey, you know what? Let's just have one of those crazy defensive lines. So at plus 1,000, as a guy who knows people on Twitter that know people inside the organization that have said, don't be surprised if we're sitting at 17, we're just going to take the best player available. And if the best player available just happens to be a defensive end, that's just what's going to happen.
Yeah.
So plus 1,000, I thought that's a pretty juicy number for something that's pretty high on their board.
So bet my whole savings account is what you're telling. I'm
Yeah,
just
pretty
kidding.
much. Yeah. Yeah. That's what we're trying to advise here is
No,
irresponsibly bet something that's over plus 1,000.
I don't think I have anything badly priced, but I do have a stay away, and we already kind of talked about the Broncos and Zach Wilson, but at plus 175 for a quarterback at this point, I wouldn't even bet anything because you don't even know. Like we talked about, they don't have second round picks. We don't. You may still think that they go quarterback. I think that they may just like trade back, and they're just trying to, and they just go with, literally like an offensive lineman, which is at plus 450. So the Broncos are such a wild card to me. I don't really like anything. I honestly could see them rolling Zach Wilson out, or they pick something like they pick a quarterback in the third round or something.
Yeah.
But at this point, I feel like they're tanking for next year already. They're just getting a head start. And people are like, no, what if they just wanted to go ahead and bring him in and they're still going to draft somebody? At this point, I don't trust this. We talked about bad front offices. I don't trust them at all. Literally last week, I was talking about them possibly like going for a Bo Nix or a JJ McCarthy or something like that. I don't even know what to do with this team anymore. So that's just my stay away. The other wild card was also in the AFC West. With like, I wouldn't bet them drafting a position either, which was the Chargers. I felt good about wide receiver last week, and you were like, well, Harbaugh could care less about wide receivers, even though they don't really have anybody. They still at minus 175 for offensive linemen. They could trade back, and who knows what they're going to do. So, and there's still the rumors. I think that they're just fun rumors. I really think that would be the craziest thing ever for them to trade Herbert. If you felt like you believe those, you could bet plus 800 for them to draft a quarterback.
That would be something.
So just a couple like stay away. How do you feel about? Do you see value in that, or do you agree with me?
Yeah, I definitely. So Bo Nix to be drafted by the Broncos is minus 130. You are an insane person to take a bet it's not even plus money, but for someone to be drafted by a specific team, that's not good value.
Yeah.
This whole draft is such a crapshoot that things can happen. Like I said, the Broncos don't have a second round pick. If someone like the Rams was like, hey, we could grab Bo Nix in the second round and let him be maybe the guy behind Stafford and take over when he retires in a couple of years, like that could happen. Like that's a very realistic possibility. And then you're sitting there like a moron with a minus 130 ticket in your hand because the Broncos were for some reason smart enough not to take Bo Nix in the first round, just reaching for a quarterback. Or maybe they're crazy enough to just say, hey, we like Michael Penix better than Bo Nix, so we took Michael Penix. There's nothing worse than feeling like a dummy when you're holding something that it's a juice ticket. And you're like, oh, what was I? That was really dumb. Like that was just a dumb thought to be trying to nail down a specific player to a specific team in that fashion is wild.
Yeah.
So that's like one of those. It's like it's a stay away. I'm just not touching anything to do with the Broncos drafting a quarterback because I don't know if or when they will.
And that's why I feel so like good about like do small units on these and do some, you know, logical, hey, this team needs X. Like they need this. This could fall here, and you just pick something with some plus money because we really don't like you said it, you nailed it. Like it could be a complete curveball, this whole thing. So the only other thing that I saw, you were talking about defensive props, or we were talking about like Dallas Turner earlier. Do you think first defensive player selected? Do you still think that he is a lock, or do you think Byron Murphy the second could be the first defensive player taken off the board because he is at plus 250 to be the first defensive player? Byron Murphy
Yeah.
is.
I don't think there's any value in Dallas Turner anymore with the minus, just because there's Byron Murphy, and then the Falcons are in desperate need of a cornerback, and Terrion Arnold has really done very well in his meetings with the Falcons. Raheem Morris loves him. He's a former corner himself, so he's DB coach as well. So that's kind of his background. I think he could say, "Hey, give me my guy. This is a guy that I love. He could be a plug and play guy for the next 10 years. He comes from Alabama. I think so. That helps because Alabama corners are great in the NFL. Um, would I be surprised if Dallas Turner goes first? No. Like first defensive player? Absolutely not. I mean, it makes sense. He's a premier player at a premier position. But if he doesn't fit that system that the Falcons want, and the Falcons do run more of their four down defensive linemen are more power guys. Dallas Turner is a finesse rusher, speed rusher. So he doesn't exactly fit the mold they're looking for anyway. So I think it's worth it to take someone like Byron Murphy and maybe sprinkle a little on Terrion Arnold just because the Falcons are a wild card team. If they do stay and pick that, or even if they trade out, you're looking at probably the next team to take a defensive player would be the Bears. The Bears love Byron Murphy. I think they would run the card up if he's sitting there because they really wanted the Georgia player last year, but he had too many character concerns that they were like, we're not trying to open this can of worms. Byron Murphy has none of that.
None of it.
Zero.
Well,
so that's just my opinion. I mean,
I don't hate it at plus money, so might go with that. Okay. Did you have any others? Any other bets?
I've got a couple.
Okay.
These are long shots. First, I'm going to go Drake May to be the fourth pick. I don't have that attached to a team. I don't have that attached to anything like that. It's just simply Drake May to be the fourth pick. It's plus 850. This goes in my head of JJ McCarthy goes 2 or 3. And the Vikings are like, okay, we can't wait another second. We've got to go get our guy. Because I think the Vikings want Drake May the most of any of these quarterbacks. So at plus 850, it's a long shot, but there's scenarios where that could happen. JJ McCarthy to be the second overall pick, I got it at plus 1100. I think we touched on it just a little bit earlier. I think there is some validity to this Jaden Daniels being upset with the Commanders about how they handled the quarterback meetings. They had all 4 of the top guys all meeting on the same day. His agent did not appreciate that. He thought it was a meeting just for Jaden, which is more normal. You don't normally bring in all 4 guys and kind of see how they interact. So, and I think that just added fuel to the fire where I don't think Jaden wants to go play there. I think he wants to – I think he really wants to end up with the Raiders. I just don't see how it's going to happen. But I don't think he wants to play for Washington. So that's where I think maybe the Washington goes, okay, well – I can take someone who fits a JJ or fits a Sean McVay, Kyle Shanahan offense where he's just a point guard and takes what the defense gives him and JJ McCarthy. So I could see that. So plus 1100 is a pretty fun bet for me, and I think has some pretty good value. Bills first pick to be a corner at plus 650. I just think the Bills are terrible, and they literally could just take whatever other than quarterback. Like that's the only thing they have nailed down. Quarterback, left tackle, and tight end. Other than that, like they could draft anything and it would make sense. But that pick had the most value to me. This pick might drive Cowboy fans crazy. Cowboys first player to be drafted or position to be drafted, linebacker. Apparently, they really like the kid out of Texas A&M, Adrian Cooper. He kind of fits this. He's a linebacker, air quotes, but he's kind of the Micah Parsons linebacker where he's a defensive end. He's a true linebacker. He could switch into 3-tech. So at plus 330, I thought, because the Cowboys are all in. I don't know if everybody knew this or not.
Yeah.
The Cowboys are all in. I don't know what that means because they haven't done anything so far in free agency or done anything as far as like CeeDee Lamb is not showing up for voluntary workouts because he's not got his new contract. Dak Prescott's already talking about a new contract. Dak Prescott is just out here collecting bags. He's trying to get his third big contract after doing absolutely nothing. But that's a pod for another day. So Cowboys linebacker, just to put the cherry on top of the all-in, what are we doing situation would be the Cowboys at 330. Couple more.
Love it.
Denver's,
you're good. Keep them going.
Denver's first pick. This one was on FanDuel. Everything else I've given out so far has been on DraftKings. That's where I bet the most. Shout out DraftKings. As soon as you're ready to have some people shout you out on social media all the time, we're here. I'll even delete the tweet that I sent out the other day where I called you guys cowards because they won't release.
I saw that.
They won't release Drake May where he's going to end up. They know I know. And I'm going to hammer him as soon as they let me bet him to go to the Vikings because he's going to be a Viking. But anyway, this is my one and only bet on FanDuel was Broncos to take a receiver with their first pick. It was plus 1,000. I thought it was worth a flyer just because they're just a mess. I don't know what they want to do. And then my last long shot, and this is just one of my guys. I have a list of guys that I just like that I'm going to be looking for in like dynasty leagues and things like that. But Braylon Allen, running back out of Wisconsin, to be the first running back taken in the draft, is plus 3,000. We constantly hear all the time about running backs being devalued, too much wear and tear on their bodies. This kid's going to be 21 for his whole rookie season. He's playing Division I football at 17 years old. He is a freak. He's not Derrick Henry freakish because I don't think anybody will ever be a Derrick Henry type freak and play running back, but he's pretty close. They've been working out together this offseason. He does not look small next to Derrick Henry, so that's going for him. He's more of a throwback guy. He's not a great receiver out of the backfield, but he can do it. He can run block or pass block, and he will give you good hard yards every time you give him the ball. I think he could be a lead guy. I think he could be none of these running backs are going to go early. So for me to have such a young player, he's still got a lot of years left on his legs where he's going to be able to run for a long time at plus 3,000. It just takes one team to be the team and be like, hey, running back's high on our list, and this is the guy who fits what we want. Let's go ahead and take him here in the third or fourth round because that's probably when the running backs honestly start going.
Did you say plus 3,000?
Plus 3,000.
I'm taking that right now.
I took it. Yeah. It's I mean, it's worth a flyer. I don't know why it wouldn't be.
But, okay, I had a crazy one.
Yeah.
Are you ready for this?
Yes.
Do you know who has the last pick of the draft? I've been doing my research.
The Cardinals.
the New York Jets.
Oh, come on. I hate those guys. I
Unless
don't
it
want to
gets
hear about them.
traded. Okay, unless it get
Boo.
and well, real quick, I just had a fun pick. This is basically like a huge flyer, but now you have something to look forward to for the rest of the draft. After the first round gets done, there on day 2 and 3, we will have plenty of, live picks that you can pick. But for Mr. Irrelevant, let me pull it up here. It is plus 1,600 for a kicker / punter / long snapper. So you're telling me I get 3 positions where everything else is just one. Now, who do the Jets have for those positions? Thomas Morstead is, how old is he? Let's see. I think it was like 36,
Yeah.
38. And then they also have Zerline for the kicker.
Oh, yeah. They could take.
He's
Take some
36.
dudes.
The punter's 38.
Come
And then
on.
I don't even know who their long snapper is, but let's just say they take one here because why not? So I'm going to take that, and this is the Jets. So I'm going to take that at plus 1,600 for that to happen.
I love that.
So there's my fun little pick there. Last time, and I did do my research. The last time there was a kicker was Ryan Suckup for the Kansas City Chiefs 2009. So it's not impossible.
No.
So that was my Mr. Irrelevant pick.
I like it.
We've gotten a couple of them.
Yeah, no, that's fun. And then, I mean, that's for all the draft nerds that are still watching on Saturday night, which
That's
is
right,
us.
which we probably are.
No, definitely. You said plus 1,600. I'm going to go find. Is it on DraftKings?
Yeah, DraftKings.
All right. I will be taking that with you. But before I do that, anything else you want to touch on or anything like that?
I feel like we kind of covered it. My not automatic bets. My bets that I'm taking officially is the Raiders at plus 220 to take a quarterback. The Jags, it was like plus 210 to pick a wide receiver. And then let's see, what was the last one? Oh, the linebacker to go in the top 10.
Oh, yeah, Dallas Turner.
And then Dallas Turner. And then, of course, this Mr. Irrelevant pick. Did you have any others? Then you can kind of review your picks as well.
No, nothing to add to the long list that I already have, but we'll go ahead and knock it out real quick. So I've got Kool-Aid McKinstry plus 105 to go under 28.5. And then see Braylon Allen, first running back taken, plus 3,000. Denver, first pick to be a receiver. I gave it out earlier, but the line has changed, but I'd still take it at plus 475. Patrick Paul, offensive lineman from Houston, to go in the first round, plus 475. I still think there's some value there. Cowboys' first player to be drafted would be a linebacker at plus 330. Bills' first pick, corner at 650. J.J. McCarthy, second overall, plus 1,100. Drake May to be pick number 4 at plus 850. Another long shot is Jags to take a defensive lineman, plus 1,000. But I love them to take a receiver. That's my hope, and I'm also on it. And then Xavier Worthy, you could sprinkle him to all 3 of the teams of Cowboys, Dolphins, and Chiefs is what I am on. If I add to the ever-growing list, which there's always a good chance of it, I will make sure and get it out on Twitter. Mason is going to probably do the same. He has been killing it with the graphics and getting his picks on there. So make sure you're following both of us and following the Next Guy Up Twitter page for all of our picks as far as the draft, but also NBA, NHL, baseball. We are partnering up with Beat the Book, social platform for bettors. It's been really fun. I'm doing a lock of the day contest. They're running it for the next few weeks, so that's been fun. But other than that, shout out to our guy Zach. If you were missing his sweet voice and his sweet throat clears tonight. He was not able to join us, and he will probably be out for the next few weeks. Baby Zach Durham is going to be here any minute, so he'll be behind the scenes for a little bit. But shout out to him and his wife Megan. We're excited to name the baby the Next Guy Up podcast. It was a name for Zach's child. Sure, Megan will love to hear that if she is still listening at this point. She will roast me in our group text. That'll be fine.
That's pretty good. Don't forget to check out our next episode with Josh. He's been legitimately the next guy up, so he'll be jumping in for our draft and fantasy talk. But thanks, guys, for listening, and we'll see you next time.